Please.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Today Show. I'm here with Danny Burstein. How are you, Danny?
I'm good. I'm hanging in. And yourself?
I'm good.
You told me you were just stretching your hip. How'd that go?
Good. I feel better. Yeah. So, what was it like making your Broadway debut in Little Hotel by the Sea?
Oh, Little Hotel on the Side. Yeah, that was I had a very small role in that show. And then actually somebody wound up leaving and I wound up taking over another role, a little bit of a bigger role. But it was wonderful. You know, I'd been auditioning for Broadway shows for years and wasn't getting anything. And you know, I came so close so many times to so many different Broadway shows. And the actor, I worked with the actor Tony Randall in Summerstock, and he wanted to do this thing called the National Actors Theater on Broadway, a repertory company on Broadway. And I said to him in Summerstock years before, if you ever do that, let me know. And he said, I will. And then in 1991, I picked up the phone and he went, Danny, Tony Randall. And there he was. And he said, I'd like you to be part of my company. And just, you know, in 1 second, all of a sudden, I didn't have to audition. I didn't have to do anything. He just said, you know, I'll send you the things you're going to be doing.
Right.
Wow. All of a sudden, I was part of a Broadway company. And I made my Broadway debut. And getting to work with Tony and Lynn Redgrave, who I loved and miss terribly, it was a blast, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, who doesn't love The Odd Couple?
I'm so sorry, I didn't understand that.
Who doesn't like The Odd Couple?
Oh yes, they were in The Odd Couple together, you know, and eventually with that company, I also worked with Tony and Jack Klugman, who was the other, of course, played Oscar on The Odd Couple. And so I learned a lot from them. You know, they were my teachers in a way, and my mentors, the older actors. They taught me a lot. The thing that I learned most about from them was generosity on stage. You know, because so many actors get up there and then anyone else, and they wanted to be, you know, they want to shine brighter than anyone else. I asked them one day, what was the secret of their success? And they said, we gave it away. When it was our time to shine, we shined. And when it was the other one's to shine, we let them shine. And when we had guest stars come on the show, we let them shine because it told the story and it wound up making them look better and everybody looking better because you're telling the story, and that's what we are ultimately at the end of the day, storytellers.
Absolutely. Yeah, because a lot of people are all about, you know, them. Yeah, they're not really too concerned with other people. You know?
That's it. They want to monopolize the time, and they never turn off, and they never are generous with the other people on stage, and so. It was a wonderful lesson that it wasn't ever about me. It wasn't about ego. It was about telling the story. It was about the project. And I thought that was a beautiful lesson to learn.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Absolutely.
Tell us about your role in the sequel.
And my role in which?
The sequel.
Sorry, I don't understand. I'm not understanding. Chris, can you tell me what? Oh, in the sequel? Oh gosh! Yeah. Wow, you're really reaching back. Holy cow, Jesse! My God, this is like in-depth reporting. This is your life. Wow. My role in this, I barely remember the show, let alone the role. I played Yakov. He was a laborer on the estate of this Madame Arkadina, and the thing that I loved most about that show was getting to work with Tyne Daly and John Voight, and because they were the two leads in the show, and I learned a lot from them. I don't agree with John Voight's politics even that much, but he was a wonderful actor to learn from, and it was a lovely cast and a lovely experience. And Marshall Mason, who directed most of Lanford Wilson's plays originally, directed that. And that was a beautiful experience. I really did learn a lot. That's what I remember most about that experience. Oh my God! Now you're going to ask me about my third grade play, right?
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
When you do a revival of a play or a musical, is it harder to do your own thing because you have to stick to what other people know the play is, or how much can you play around?
You know, that's an excellent question. What I do is I do as much research as I can, based on the information that's available. Sometimes it's not available. Like when I did Fiddler on the Roof, there was a tape that I got special permission from the Jerome Robbins estate to see a tape of Zero Mostel do Fiddler on the Roof at Lincoln Center Library. Jerome Robbins was unhappy with that performance and didn't want people to see it. But I got special permission from his estate since I would be playing Tevye, and I wanted to see what Zero did. And, but of course, when I did Golden Boy, since that play was in the 40s, I never got to see that production, so I didn't have as much resources for that. But each time I try and do as much research as I can. I try and read everything I can about the productions that went before, and try and then hold on to that information and sort of put it in a backpack and carry it with me the first day into rehearsal. And then slowly, as I start to, because I think, I don't want to imitate anybody else. I want to try and make it as real as possible for myself. So after a while, I have that knowledge, but I can slowly shed the backpack and put it to the side and make it my own. So I think it behooves you to do the research, because there are things that, the show was, for instance, Fiddler, the show was built around Zero Mostel's strengths. So everything that he does was, suited to him. Just like when I did Drowsy Chaperone, the strengths of my strengths were built for that particular role of Aldolfa. They were very wise to, take whatever I did well and go, oh, hold on to that. You can let go of that. That doesn't work, but hold on to this. Now, if somebody else were, originally in that company, it might be different. They might be, pushing the role in a different direction. But it's wise of the writers to do that. And so you have to find your own truth with the material that was written for somebody else. And that is a definite struggle. But Bartlett Shear and I, the director, decided we just wanted to make the role as real as possible and let go of a lot of the shtick that was done, traditionally done with the role, and take it from there. He was not this. He was in every person could relate to him, and that's the way I wanted to play it. And the only thing I didn't do that I made a conscious decision not to do was to treat God. I didn't treat him in the most reverential way. I wanted to treat him more in a sibling kind of way, like that Tevye could not just argue or with God or ask him questions, but he can not just ask him questions, he could actually argue with him and tell him that he was pissed off at him and tell him that he was walking away from the religion because he couldn't understand why God would do certain things. And I thought that was, an interesting way to go. So it's not just, oh, don't hurt me, God. It wasn't that kind of thing. He wasn't scared and deferential is what I should have said. Instead, he was, they were on an even, they were peers, and he would talk things out with him in a logical way. And anyway, that was my approach to it.
Yeah, I think that's the best way. Honestly, overall,
When I do a revival, my way of approaching a character is, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
I'm sorry, Chris, could you tell me that what he said? I'm sorry, Jesse.
When he does a revival, he's wondering, well, he's saying if it's not broke, don't fix it.
No, I think that's really good advice. You don't want to, go in this direction where, you find yourself swimming alone at sea. No, there's a reason it works, and you want to hold on to that. But it's like with anything that I do, I approach it as if, but the rules of the game show you're doing change from time to time. And that's okay. Like with a play, those are one set of rules. With a musical, the rules of that game are all of a sudden you're so moved emotionally, you can start to sing about it, and you want to hold on to what the rules of any particular show are, any particular character. In Drowsy Chaperone, for example, he could be big and he could talk like this, and other roles that you do are very quiet, and you have to really bring it down and be ultra real and serious. And if you had made choices where you started talking like this in one of those kinds of plays, it wouldn't make sense at all. So yeah, you just have to understand the convention and then go with it, and then make it as real as possible. In the rehearsal period, that's what that's where you get to play and try out all those things.
Yeah, and tinker with things.
Yeah.
Play with ideas. Absolutely.
Well, you made your musical debut in company. How was that like?
That was an amazing experience because it was such an amazing cast, and it was the first revival of Company on Broadway. And it was the second time I got to work with Stephen Sondheim. And that was, he's pretty good. So, I was, it was, an honor to work with all those great people. That's after a while, after 18 Broadway shows, the thing that you hold on to after all the time has passed are the friendships that you made. And that was pretty exciting. I had actually written to Steve Sondheim when I was a kid. I was 18, and this is actually how I wound up meeting him. I wrote him a letter because I was cast as Frank in Merrily We Roll Along at Queens College, where I did my undergraduate work, and the show had closed like 2 months before on Broadway. and the director wanted to do it in college. There were a lot of college kids involved, in the original production, and he thought it would be right for us. And so, but it was a really difficult role to figure out, and there were different drafts of the script, and so I wrote Sondheim a letter. A friend of mine said, "You should write Stephen Sondheim a letter," and I said, "Yeah, of course, sure, of course." He goes, "No, I have his address here." And so I wrote him this letter and asked him all these questions that I had about the role, about Franklin Shepard. And about a week later, I got a letter back from him saying, well, all those questions would have to be answered in a letter the size of War and Peace. So look, here's my number. Give me a call. We'll figure out a time where you can come over and we can sit and talk about the role and the show. And 3 weeks later, I found myself in his home, in his townhouse. And he came in, and they were writing, he and Jim Lapine were writing Sunday in the Park. And Lapine was leaving as I came in. He said, "Have a seat right there on the couch." He came in with a huge carafe of white wine, boom, popped it down between us. And he said, "All right, what do you want to know? Anything. And, his teacher was Oscar Hammerstein. And and then who basically gave Stephen Sondheim a lesson like that. And he was doing the same thing for me. And I couldn't believe how, lucky I was. And then for like 3 hours, we sat there talking and drinking wine. And I learned a lot about musical theater, about life, and about Merrily We Roll Along.
Was that the company that Raoul Esparza or Elizabeth Stanley?
It was Boyd Gaines. That was a long time ago. In 1995. I'm old, Jesse. I know. I don't look it exactly, but I am very old. 471 years.
Like a vampire. He's a vampire.
What was it like working on the Titanic? What were the special effects?
I missed the question. What was it like working with what?
On Titanic, with all the technical aspects.
Titanic. Oh, my goodness, boy, way back. You're going to ask me, what was it like when you were born? It was like this. I was coming out, and I went like that.
What were your parents wearing?
Exactly. Remember, my mom had a smock, and dad had a blue shirt. Let's see. Titanic. I was a replacement in Titanic and got into the show the last 3 or 4 months, and so they closed 3 or 4 months after I got there. Having said that, it was an amazing experience, and I've never been a part of an ensemble that sang like that, and that doing that opening number and closing number was truly one of the most thrilling experiences of my life. That choral singing, everybody standing there on stage, a large cast singing that Sail On, was so moving and beautiful. And, I think I cried almost every night just because I felt so lucky to be there singing that score. It's such a glorious, glorious score.
Yeah, that came out just before the movie, right? That year? 97?
Say it again?
That came out in 97, right? Wasn't it just before the movie?
It was, yeah. Yeah, so it got sort of mixed reviews, and they weren't sure whether it was going to continue on, but then the movie came out, and that the success of the movie kept it going. Which is great.
I heard that the boat didn't, the boat wouldn't work all the time. So
You heard right. You heard right, Jesse. Yeah, sometimes the boat didn't. a couple of times we actually got it was a hydraulic that would do this, because we were all standing on the boat and it would do this, and that kind of thing. And certain nights the hydraulic would go up and turn, and we were all standing on it, and it would get stuck there. And we were 25 feet in the air, and we even had to, it was the end of the show, so the curtain would come down, and then the curtain would go back up, and we had to bow, and on a sideways angle, holding onto the rail. It was so strange because the damn thing wouldn't come down. But, we had to take us down with ladders, when the curtain came down. It was nuts. But, I don't know. I wonder whether the audience didn't realize it or whether they did realize it, or I don't know. I guess they must.
Yeah. Huh. All right, it's like, oh, I guess we're having dinner up here on the bow tonight, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a comment.
Oh, we got a comment.
Right. How did you come up with the creation of Aldolfa?
I'm sorry. The sound and video are breaking up, so I didn't get that.
Yeah, I know. He's asking, how did you come up with the creation of Aldolfa?
And I missed the beginning of that. The creation of Aldolfa.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, of Aldolfa.
What was that like to create that?
Yeah, how did you come up with the creation?
Yeah, that voice and the
the voice, the way to say what.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, I was lucky enough to be, involved with the show early on, where we just kept working on it, and in readings and a workshop, and then we wound up going to the Amundsen to do the show in Los Angeles, and the show premiered there in the United States. They had done readings and a production or two of it in Canada, where the writers are from, in Toronto. And but when they brought it down here, I was lucky enough to be involved with it in the first time they did it, and I was like at the musical theater workshop or the National Alliance for Musical Theater or something like that. One of those presentations that they do here in New York City, and it was a hit. And then we did a workshop, and then Casey Nicholaw was brought in. I think we may have done another workshop after that. And then we went out to LA, and it was all about playing. That's it, that entire cast. And that's it was a very close-knit cast. Everybody just wanted to do their best. And Casey Nicholaw cast people who were all old friends of his. Since it was the first show he was directing and choreographing on Broadway, he wanted it to feel like it was a family affair. And it was a love fest from the very beginning. And they, as I mentioned earlier, they would go, okay, just let's go through it this time and say whatever the hell you want, and then you just play, and then they go, yeah, that was great. Hold on to that. That's fantastic. And then it just, I saw that I had the word what, that was his question after everything, and I thought, oh, that's funny. I should try and do something with that. Like that's maybe his signature thing, and so I would go home. My son Alex, of course, thought I was crazy because I would walk around the apartment going, what, until one day in rehearsal, I threw my arms back and took this big dip with my legs and threw my hands in the air and said, what, like that. And all of a sudden, everybody in the rehearsal laughed. And then I kept repeating that, what? Every time. And it became a thing. That's what I was looking for. That particular thing. So that was the experience. It was just fun playing, and they were smart enough to guide the show in this wonderfully funny way, and yet poignant and beautiful. And that was my, and maybe one of my favorite experiences ever. I mean, I just loved that experience so much. It made me so happy to do it and to go to the theater every single night. It was such a joy. Yeah. Say it again. I'm sorry.
You have that kind of freedom.
Yes, so much fun. Incredible. Of course, once we set it, it was set. But it was in such a fun place that it just, it's just so fun to play.
How much did it go change when Bob Saget took over?
How much did the show change? You mean like from LA to New York?
No, when Bob Saget took over.
Came in. Yeah, and also John Glover took over, and I think one or two other people did as well. And they stuck to the script, but of course each one brings their own unique thing to it. Bob has a wry sense of humor, sort of an everyman kind of thing, and he also happens to be a dear friend. I text with him often, and he's irreverent and brilliantly funny, and he's one of the nicest and most genuine people I know. He's a fantastic human being, and I know he would love you guys. Yeah, he's really fantastic, and it's fun. He was fantastic in the show. So
I met him before.
Actually, didn't you? I didn't know.
Yeah, I met Bob Saget.
You did? Yeah. I see. I figured. Did you meet him at Drowsy Chaperone?
No, my friend owned a comedy club, and he does a stand-up there, and he introduced me to him.
I see.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's an amazing human being. He has actually he founded something because his sister Gay died of something called scleroderma, which is a skin disease, and where your skin basically starts drying up, and around your whole body, so you get thinner and thinner and smaller, and she unfortunately passed away from that. And he's been raising funds for research for scleroderma now for over 20 years. And he's really an amazing human being. And I have the greatest respect for him.
Wow, that's awful. That's a rare disease, skin eating disease, right? Yeah. It's gotta be pretty rare. Can you hear us okay or no?
It sounds like it's breaking.
Yeah.
More than one mic?
Yeah.
Because Chris, you do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has his own separate one.
Your mic sounds like a little like this, like that.
Oh, does it really?
And also, I haven't done that since I was 4 years old, so that gave me a chance to do that.
Oh boy.
But you look great, and that's the important thing.
Oh, thank you. Alright, this is a revival of self-discovery.
You did the revival of self-discovery.
Yeah.
At Lincoln Center with Kelly O'Hara, Matthew Morrison, there.
Yeah.
How do you think the revival changed from any other production that came before you? Because it was in the round. Was
It was difficult. It was in the 3/4 thrust at the at Lincoln Center, and that is a difficult theater, the Beaumont, to figure out. But if any director ever has, it is Bartlett Shear. He uses he uses that space better than any other director. And he's smart, and he took South Pacific and trimmed it down where it needed to be trimmed down, and expanded it where he thought it might be expanded some, and put a song that's not usually in the show called My Girl. Oh gosh, what the heck is the name of that song? My Girl. Oh God, Matthew and Kelly sang it.
My Girl Back Home.
My Girl Back Home. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, much better than my old COVID brain. So yes, My Girl Back Home. I could remember the melody, but I couldn't remember the damn lyric. But it was such a sweet song, and they added that song back in, and it was a great thing to be a part of. You felt that there was greatness in this revival, and that story needed to be told. And the story, of course, needs to be told now more than ever, about racial prejudice and moving forward, and learning from your own prejudices and admitting them, and then growing. And that's what the character of Nellie Forbush does. And so it would be a good time to revive that, or at least something with those themes, to let people know, because our country is seemingly so divided right now.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
It is unbelievable. Yeah, it was a tough 4 years, without a doubt.
Yeah.
What was the best part about playing Luther Billy?
The best part was that it reminded me of all those old like gangster guys in black and white movies, like George Raft, and old character actors like George Burns. Those kinds of wheeler dealer kind of guys who were fast talking. Let me tell you something, but
With a cigar in the mouth. Right.
It's that kind of thing. And I tried to steal from all of them, all those old character actors. A little Bert Lahr from who was of course the Cowardly Lion. A little of those other guys that I mentioned. I just wanted it to sound like a conglomeration of all of those guys in one character. So I stole liberally their sound and their kind of mannerisms and their personalities. Their how they thought they were the toughest guy in the room, and really it's just they were an ant among elephants. That toughness, that New York wheeler dealer kind of guy, was great fun to play, and I think more than anything. And then of course he was very forlorn and alone, and he fell in love with Nellie Forbush, and that was an unrequited love, but he pined for her, and that was something that Bart and I wanted to add into the production. So to give him a moment of that here or there, that wasn't necessarily in the script, but to really, so he wasn't just kind of embarrassed because she's so pretty, that kind of thing. He was really in love with her, and he really cared for her, and he was trying to do something really. He risked his life for her and for her love of Emile Debec.
What do you think Bartlett meant when he said he wanted outfit to be more dark, gritty, and sweaty.
Well, this is what I heard. What? And then I heard gritty and sweaty. So, what came in between?
All right, he's wondering what Bartlett. How do you pronounce his name? Shear.
Cheer, yeah.
Shear. Yeah, he's wondering what he meant by when he said
He wanted it to be
dark and gritty.
and gritty and sweaty.
Yeah, I think it had to do with Bart's approach to everything he does. He doesn't want it to be. He doesn't want you to feel like, oh, I'm going to a musical. It's as if it's trite in any way. And the sailors, he didn't want the sailors to be happy villagers in the background going, hey, da, da, da. He didn't want that at all. He wanted this to be real guys in this real situation. And he wanted you to feel that it was, this was a life or death situation. War is very serious. And that's the place he starts from every time. He started Fiddler in the same place. And we did the play very seriously for 2 weeks. And he was like, don't go for any of the laughs. Don't do anything like that. And after 2 weeks, I went, look, it can't all be that gritty and awful. We have to have some place. And we eventually lightened up the beginning of the show, so we had someplace to go. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that because you understand the circumstances on a very deep level when you approach it as reality.
Sure. Absolutely. This is doing one moment.
How do you keep long run like outfit fresh and new every day? Because you did outfit for 2.5 years.
Yeah. I understand the question. I think the way you keep it fresh, well, first of all, the audience has never seen it before. And so they bring a fresh take to the show every single night. And the audience is different every single night. Some days they're really with you and boisterous. And other times they sit back and go, okay, so,
Wow.
It's funny, how all of a sudden 1,200 people can be one collective voice in like 5 seconds. All of a sudden they have a feeling. And the thing that the older actors taught me and that I hold on to as the most important part of acting is listening. And you have to listen every single second that you're on stage, because anything and everything can happen because it's live theater, and it usually does. So there's crazy things that happen. People change the way they throw a line to you. They, all of a sudden they get an idea and they go in a different direction with the feeling, and you have to stay with them and navigate all that and tell the story. And it's the difference between getting up on stage and saying lines and being an artist. The ability to listen and react in real time is what makes it an art. And it makes the people on stage artists, because, the ones who do it really well can achieve this certain greatness and beauty and humanity. That's the difference when you see somebody who you automatically connect to. Not to, make it too weird or bring it down too much, but that's something that I always felt about my wife, that she had this lovely, it was almost as if she had a light around her, and that you just gravitated towards because she had this instant humanity. And yeah, and also that incredible gift. Her voice was just so damn gorgeous that you couldn't help. As I always say, she opened her mouth and her heart fell out. And that's the way I felt when I heard her sing. My heart was like swell. And it was not just because, she was my wife, it was because she had this special connection that I was talking about, the ability to be in the moment and connect to her soul somewhere very deep. And the greatest artists have that.
Yeah, it's just naturally instilled in you when you're born. Kind of like basketball players.
Yeah, it's essential. It really is essential. So, and that's how you're there in the moment. And it's better to do it that way rather than, getting bored, and which some people do. But, I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Oh, is that what's going on here? Hold on a second. Sorry.
We got it plugged in.
That's all right. How's your hip now, Jesse?
Good.
Okay, good.
I'm good. Oh, we got a comment. Quick, can you bring it
It's
up?
Casey Blizzard, yeah. It says, hi, Jesse and Danny. Love the both of you. This is a great interview. I don't know who that is.
Can you bring it up by clicking? Hold on.
Let's see. Hi, Jesse and Danny. Love both of you. This is a great interview. Casey Blizzard. That's what that says, right? Casey Blizzard. Yeah. Well, thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Love you too, brother. Or I don't know. Casey could be a girl or a boy, couldn't
It could
it?
be a girl, yeah, it could be. And we can't tell because it's a fish.
I have no. I know. I don't get a clue. It's a beautiful fish. So we love you, Casey, and that's so.
Thanks for tuning in, Casey.
Thank you.
We really appreciate
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, sorry about the Wi-Fi. The
That's
Wi-Fi is
nice.
all wonky today.
That's all right. It happens.
Yeah. No, it's over. Alright, so this is life lessons.
Chris, I'm digging your shirt.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't even remember where I even bought it. I have no idea.
Got racing stripes. I love it.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
I like it too.
He loves all my clothes. He's always commenting.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. What? Of all the characters that you play, what life lessons did you bring in to play Luther?
Of all the what that I played? Do you want to get that?
Yeah, his parents they usually got that.
Okay.
Yeah, they might have fallen asleep.
That's all right. I'm boring. I understand.
Oh, geez, far from it. This is. Do you have any life lessons that you brought into Luther's character that you transferred over into your other characters?
Any lessons? Is that what you said?
Yeah, life lessons.
Gosh. Well, I guess if there's one life lesson, it's just how honest how altruistic he was at the end of the day. He talked a great game, like he was gonna turn the world upside down, and then wound up really doing something brave. And I guess also that if you have the opportunity to say something loving and kind, don't hold it in. Say it.
Right. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Just go with your instinct on your gut feeling here. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. And obviously, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Isn't that the
There's that. Exactly.
right? More people should learn from that. Saying.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Especially today, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The comment sections on the some serious topics. It's like, my goodness gracious. Yeah. It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And people are at war today, man. It's sickening.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's like you don't know her for so long, but you could start reading things and you start, I don't know, thinking about it a lot, and it's like, man, what's the answer to all this?
Yeah. There's just at the end of the day, there's just something about doing the right thing, and being kind and making the loving choice when you're given certain situations, and then that's honestly what I say to myself at the end of the day, or when I'm faced with certain things. What is the loving choice in this situation when I'm faced with certain difficult things, and that you can never go wrong with that choice. So
no, definitely not. All right, this is one on the birthday.
Well, you were in the play with Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
right.
Patti LuPone and Norma Fiance. Working with Patti LuPone, what was it working like with legend? And can you tell us a little about the cab driver?
What was it like working with her specifically? She's yes.
Yeah.
Patti is a force of nature. She is just, it's like being on stage with this, this energy source, and when I was on stage with her, which wasn't all that often because my character didn't, interact with her that much. But when we were on stage, I basically went, ladies and gentlemen, Patti LuPone, because there's no reason. There's no reason to try and compete with that, You step aside and let her shine, and that's absolutely fine, with me. They came to see her, and and I was happy to let that happen. I thought, she's extremely talented and such a powerhouse, and so I thought she did amazing work in that, and she had this beautiful song called Invisible that she knocked out of the park every single night. I hope people really go back and look at that show someday. I know Bart and the writers went back to look at the show, and they did it in the West End not too long ago. It was much bigger than we had with it. We had all sorts of issues because of the set. The set was breaking down, and we never got to have a real preview period. And so the writers and Bartlett Shear never got to see the show and go, oh, that needs to change. That needs to thing. We need a new song here, or this can go entirely. It was all truncated into a 5-week preview period. Was truncated into, I think, 1 week. So it was nuts, that whole experience, because we couldn't get on the stage because the set wasn't working. So it was a difficult experience, but the cast was amazing, and there is a great show there, and the score is one of my favorite scores that I've ever been a part of. David Yazbek, that guy can write. He really can write. He's really smart and inventive. And as I've told him many times, when you're singing one of his songs, he makes a left when you think the song should make a right. And it's always unexpected, and it's really freaking smart and funny and wise, and that's He's amazing.
Kind of unorthodox, right? When they make that
Yeah.
that you don't expect. Yeah.
Yeah, his favorite musical theater composer is Frank Lesser, who wrote, of course, Guys and Dolls, How to Succeed. And so, that should tell you a lot, because Frank Lesser was an innovator in his own way too, and just brilliant songwriter. And of course, Most Happy Fella, which he wrote as well. And so,
Yeah,
and great to work with David, and he's funny as hell, and I love him, and I miss him. I should give him a call.
Yeah, that's going on a lot nowadays.
Speaking of Women on the Verge, can you tell us about your role as a cab driver?
Did I? What about my role as the cab driver?
He's asking if you can tell us a little bit about your role as the cab driver.
Oh, can I tell you a bit? You know what it sounded like to me? I said, "Did you care about your role as the cab driver?" No. He was a cab driver in Madrid, and he was kind of the narrator of the piece, and I loved playing it. This is the thing I love to do more than anything.
Danny?
Yeah, there's a little connection issues. There we go.
He's back.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened.
If you notice, there is a pattern here, and the pattern is that all the characters that you're talking about that I've played are extremely different from one to the other. And it's not just happenstance. That's by design. I don't like repeating what I've done before. I like doing things that I've never done before that scare the shit out of me. That's what I like doing more than.
Well, the challenge was great too in itself.
Women on. Yeah, well, I've gotten a little lucky too, with the fact that they have taken a chance on me. And Women on the Verge scared the hell out of me because it was so different. And, and I had to, I'm half Jewish and half Costa Rican. And I had to, summon up that Latino side of me to start, jiving and shaking my hips for that show that I never really did before. And so it was fun, and used a part of me that I never really used before on stage, and it was great fun. And so funny. I was just trying to sound just like my uncle, because Spanish is actually my first language, and I was just trying to imitate my uncle Franco, and talk like him. And I remember I read all the reviews. I'm not one of those actors who really cares if somebody trashes you, or because people have said he's the greatest, and and other reviewers who've seen the same performance say he's terrible. So it's just one person's opinion. But every once in a while, they say something that can actually help me and inspire me. That's what I did with Women on the Verge. And oh gosh, I forgot. I lost my train of thought where I was going with that. But what was it? Anyway, it was. I'll remember in a minute. But it was a fun production to be a part of, and reading the reviews. What the hell was it? Oh well.
And
it was fun.
And it was the first time you were a blonde.
It was the first time I was a blonde. Yes, I've been a blonde, and I can't say that blondes have more fun, because I think I have fun no matter what. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us about Buddy Plummer from Ali and working with the legend Bernadette Peters.
I love Bernadette Peters more than I could ever say. When I refer to her on social media, I always call her my ex-wife because we were married in Follies. I love her more than I could ever say. And you know what? Like Cheetah, like Bernadette, like you will these people, you'll never hear a bad word about them because they show up every single day to do their work, and they're fantastic every single time, and they're heaven to work with. They're old school professionals, and that those are the people that I modeled myself on, and I tried to do that. Not always successfully, but they're amazing. She's like a sister. I absolutely adore her. She's kind and wonderful and generous on stage, and a lot of fun, and she also happens to be beautiful and a dear friend. I love her. I can't say enough about her. I mean, watching her on stage a couple of times before we came to New York, we were in DC at the Kennedy Center. That's where we opened the show. And a couple of times on stage, I had an out of body experience working with her, because we're in the middle of a scene talking to one another. And I would think to myself, oh shit, that's Bernadette Peters.
Right.
That feeling. And then, she's not pretentious in any way whatsoever. And she's just loving and fun. So you forget all that. But when you first, meet somebody, all these people are people that you looked up to, your idols. And then all of a sudden they become your peers. And it's a really weird kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
It is, it's a lovely thing. Yeah. And also at this point now, I don't really get that way. And that's just from going through life and then working with people, people that I admired my whole life. Most of them are more down to earth than anybody. Sometimes the people who are just starting out have a huge chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove. But I did a play off Broadway called Mrs. Farnsworth. And it was with John Lithgow and Sigourney Weaver. And the two of them are the most down-to-earth, normal, wonderful people you'd ever want to meet. And, it just, all the pretension, you left any bit of ego that you had at the front door. You just walked in and did the work. And they taught me that. And they were such a great example of how to be as an actor, how to be as a human being. I consider myself very, very lucky that I've had great mentors and great people to work with. And I learned a lot about how to be at the head of a show. If you're the star of a show, how to take care of the cast and how to set an example for the cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Bernadette did that. Alan Cumming did that. It's great to learn from these people, and then at the end of the day, know that you've made a lifelong friendship.
Right, and those are the best. Absolutely. Yeah. When you could joke around, say that's my second wife or whatever, when she's married to somebody else. I mean, those are the best.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you talk about a little more about Golden Boy?
Sure. I loved Golden Boy. I loved that experience. That was it was really a rarity because, things change over the course of the rehearsal period and the preview period. And, you go, oh gosh, this isn't working. That's not working. We need to fix this. And that was maybe the one production I've ever been involved with where the director came in and had a vision that was amazing, and we all got on board with it, and the show worked from the very first read through. I mean, it's a brilliant play, but the cast clicked, and then it just continued on from there, and it just got better and better. And that experience was maybe my only perfect experience ever, because there was never any conflict, never any argument. We all got on board, and it was really good. And you felt it. And the audience loved it. And it was an emotional roller coaster. And I was really blown away by that experience. I really was. And Bart Shear, if I haven't said it enough already, he's pretty damn good. And working with him is a pleasure. Yeah, he's a very smart guy and a lovely, lovely human being. And I love him, more than I could say. He's so damn smart, and it's always about the work. It has nothing to do with anybody there. It's about the work. And that's exciting to me, because that's why I got involved in this. When I was a kid, I picked up plays, and because I wasn't much of a reader, my dad was worried. You should be reading more books, and I'd start to read things, and I'd go, I don't know. I'd finish after 100 pages. I'd go, I'm bored. I'd put it down. But with plays, that didn't happen. I loved it. I loved people talking and arguing and hashing out ideas, and it was just like real life. It's it's so bizarre to me that people would go to a theater and sit and watch people just have some kind of real life issues. And I thought that was fantastic. And that's why I started reading, and that's why I was fascinated by being an actor, because I wanted to tell those stories. And I've been lucky enough to do it, for the last 40 years or so.
Hey, I'm 40. I don't look like I'm 40. You look great for your age. Yeah, no one ever believes me I'm 40.
Bartlett is my favorite director of all time.
His favorite director, Bartlett.
What about Bartlett? I'm sorry?
It's his favorite director.
He is, yeah. He's one of my favorite directors.
I never met him, but he is really cool.
Yeah, I think he's great. Yeah, he's a good human being, and he just loves to do the work. And to me, that's the ultimate at the end of the day. At the end of the day, the work.
Yeah.
Oh, you did cabaret in 2014 with Alan Cummings. What was it like watching Alan do a part that he created in 1999 or 95?
All right. The question was about cabaret, but I wasn't. And what was it like specifically? I missed the exact question.
Alan Cummings used his muscle memory to do his own part.
Something about Alan Cummings. Sorry, I missed it.
What was it like creating the part, which was an original cast member, reviving his role after 20 years?
Oh, what was that like? Yeah. I think it was 10 years that he did it before. And it was, for him, it was lovely to go back and revisit it, because it was his greatest triumph on Broadway. And he is an amazing human being. I don't know how he was doing The Good Wife and Cabaret simultaneously. So he would do his after, and then in the morning, have a 6 o'clock pickup to head to the set to film The Good Wife. And I don't know how he kept up that schedule, but he did, and he never missed a beat. He was always brilliant. He was always Alan Cummings, and break your heart or make you laugh in a heartbeat. And it's just a rare individual, and he lives his life, and that's the thing that I admire most about him. He just lives his life and does what he needs to do, and he's outspoken, and he's a brilliant human being that's super talented, and yeah, I love him and his husband Grant. They're amazing human beings. They really are. His husband is an amazing artist, Grant Schaefer. If you don't know his work, look him up.
No,
He's great.
no. Yeah, he's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
For him, it must have been muscle memory, right?
Well, there must have been a lot of it, but I know he wanted to approach it in a new way each time, because it was the same director, Sam Mendes, and he said, look, that was 10 years ago. We did, because I don't remember. So let's just create it all new. And that's what they did. That's what, and Todd Haynes produced a beautiful production at the Roundabout. And we approached it as if we had never done it before. And I got to work opposite Linda Emond, and that's the way we approached it. Neither one of us had ever done cabaret before, and so we were going to bring new things that other people had never brought before, and because of the fact that we're different people, and it was a beautiful year of my life working on that. And I loved it. It was a great company. Those gals were, out there doing their number every single night. I was just blown away by them. And Michelle Williams and Emma Stone and Sienna Miller, they were Sienna Miller. Yeah. The three of them were, outstanding, each of them in their own way. And each had this great grit that their own unique gifts that they brought to the role of Sally Bowles. And it was great to, spend time with each of them and learn from them. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young the other actors are. You just, if you listen and you're open to it, there's always something to learn, and you pick up things, and I hope I never lose that.
If you could do a role that you did before after 20 years, what could it be?
If I could do a role, and what was the 20-year part? Well, did you say something about 20 years? In 20 years?
Yeah.
I'd love to. I'd love to do Death of a Salesman someday. It's in the back of my head that I'd love to play that role, Willie Loman. It's such a beautiful play.
What about a part that you already did, like Alan Cummings? What would be the part that you would do again, like Alan Cummings did?
Oh, what would be the role that I would do again? Oh, well, they'd probably, well, I'll probably, one day, I'll probably do Fiddler on the Roof again one day, but the role that I would wish I could do still is Aldolfo in Drowsy Chaperone. I would love to go back and, but I wonder whether, how long I could do it. I was younger then, and my knees were younger then. And, I've been dancing for 40 years. And, it takes its toll on you. It really does. Dancing, 24/7. And at the end of Moulin Rouge, we all do a can-can. And that is one of the hardest things to do. Even the younger dancers who are like 30 years younger than me come off stage and go, "Jeez, my God, my knees are killing me." And I'm right there with them trying to, get through that damn can-can, running around. And it takes a lot of stamina to do a Broadway show. As I'll curse a little bit, whatever. Patti LuPone, when we were doing Women on the Verge, it was a struggle to get that show up. And she said one day, "Theater is not for pussies." And she was right. She was absolutely right. It's damn hard. It really is.
Right. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
In many ways, many different ways.
Yeah. So no, front of yours. No, this is a long one.
Can you tell about the first time Bart asked you to do Tevye? What was going through your mind?
The first time Bart asked me to do what?
Tevye.
I'm sorry?
Tevye on Broadway.
I'm not hearing it. Sorry.
That's okay. He's talking about Tevye.
Oh, when Bart first asked me? Oh, yeah. Gosh. He asked me to do that and then said I was doing Tally's Folly off Broadway with Sarah Paulson.
Oh, wow. Sarah Paulson? Really?
And yeah. And it's a fantastic play. Oh my God. Everybody should get a chance to do that play someday. And it's just a two-hander, and it's a beautiful, beautiful play. And he came to see it, and he said, you want to have a drink? And I said, sure. So we went to the bar next door, and he said, guess what? They've asked me to direct Fiddler on the Roof on Broadway, and I'd like you to play Tevye. And I went, oh, wow, that's fantastic. He said, but here's the thing. It's not going to happen for a year and a half, and you can't tell anybody. And I said, okay. All right. Yeah. And he said, look, as far as I'm concerned, you got it, and I want you. But if they have trouble raising money for one reason or another, they may wind up giving it to a star for the, but I think it's going to work out. I really do. And so it was like it was such a weird position. And of course I could not say anything about it for a year. And then about a year later, they called my agent about it and said, yes, he's, this is the official offer and we're going to move forward with it. The show won't happen for another 6 months, but let's start, talking about, having Danny on board. And that's how it happened. I was kind of blown away, and I only told two people, and one was my wife, and the other was Sarah Paulson, because I was working opposite her at the time, and she is a great friend, and so I confided in her, and I said, guess what? Oh God, I hope it happens. Just did one of those, and she was great because she's great, and was very kind, and she probably did something like, "Get out! Are you kidding me?" That's so great. Yeah. And such a beautiful role. It's such a great role.
Now, what was it like doing If I Were a Rich Man for the first time in rehearsal?
Well, I sang that song, and it was the exact same spot where Ethel Merman sang Rose's Turn in Gypsy. And all those ghosts and all those feelings, that it meant a lot to me. I loved being in that theater performing that show. It was very, very special. And I love it's one of the great songs in musical theater history. When I think about, I loved singing that every single night, and it's, it's a gift to play that role and to sing that song. I was just thinking when we were doing the show, and where the character says, the lyric says, "When you're rich, they think you really know." The audience groaned, and I wanted to go, I know, right? It's crazy. Don't let them fool you. Yeah, but he did.
You had 2 gold dust. Did your area have the same for every gold dust that you had?
No, because everybody plays the role differently, and so if you're doing what I was talking about earlier, if you're listening, then they're going to throw lines at you differently. So I couldn't react the same way that I reacted to Jessica Hecht, the way I did to Judy Kuhn, because each of them threw different lines at me, the same lines at me in different ways. And then, they had understudies as well. Jessica Vosk went on, and I think maybe another person went on as well. And their readings were different. And so you have to temper your performance to who you're playing opposite. I have a friend showing up in 9 minutes. I'm just letting you know that I'm gonna have to head off in 9 minutes, if that's okay, Jesse. Is that okay? I wasn't sure how long we were going for, but I thought, I booked.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we didn't realize actually. Yeah, he'll go. He can go on for 3 hours.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, no problem for him. No problem.
Oh shoot! I didn't know.
No,
nobody.
I'm just being a little exaggerative, but
All right. We're actually supposed to go for 7 hours, Dan. Yeah. I didn't know. Forgive me. Forgive me. Usually, when you do these kinds of things, they're about a half an hour or something like that.
Right.
I thought maybe an hour and a half will sure to be wrapped up by then.
Time. Right. The time goes by so
All right. You were recently seen in a Spanish flute playing flute. What was that like?
Well, that was a really weird experience, I'll be honest with you. I had a blast, but it was a really weird experience because I was the only actor on the set, and it was just me in front of a green screen. Because of COVID, no actors were acting opposite one another. So that film was put together entirely in post. They would say, okay, she's going to be standing here. Look at this. And they would put up, like a music stand with 2 golf balls on it, and those are the eyes. And, it's like, okay, that's what you're acting with. So you had to imagine their responses. You had to imagine the love coming at you. And as crazy as it was, looking back on the film, you realize, oh, how successful, that part of it was. It looks like we're right next to one another. I was, Betsy Wolfe and I never saw each other throughout this whole process. And yet we have scenes right next to each other and we're talking to each other like this. And she's looking back, it's like insane, but it worked. The editor is just a genius. He really made that, and the graphics, because there's nothing around you. You just sit down and all of a sudden there's, when I saw the final thing, I was like, oh, there's a couch. Who knew? Like, oh, we're sitting on Pirates.
Right.
Looking at the Cratchits. It was an amazing experience. So it was all in your head. And John Caird was in London and he was on basically one of these kinds of Zoom calls, and he would watch the take and then give you notes from his living room in London. It was the most bizarre kind of thing because it was collaborative, but via Zoom and via the internet.
Yeah, it's
so yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now you are when COVID breaks, you are in Moulin Rouge playing.
Yeah, playing Harold Ziedler. Yeah.
Harold Ziedler.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little about Harold Ziedler?
I was asking if you can tell us a little bit.
Can I tell you about the character? Oh gosh, he's an impresario, and in real life, the guy, it wasn't Harold Ziedler. It was, oh gosh, isn't this awful? There was a real fellow who owned the Moulin Rouge and brought the can and electric lights to the Moulin Rouge.
Jim Broadbent, doesn't he?
Say it again. Oh no, Jim Broadbent was the actor, but in real life there was a real character, and his last name was Ziedler. It wasn't Harold. Let's just say his first name was Stephanie, because I can't remember what it was. Stephanie Ziedler. It's not Stephanie, but it's something. It's another man's name. It's terrible. Oh my God! It's because I haven't been doing the show and have been focused on a zillion other things. Anyway, he was a real life character, a real life human being, and who brought all this stuff to the Moulin Rouge. And so I did research on him, and I've forgotten it, obviously, but I did, learn about him, and that was fun to know. And then, I watched the film, and Jim Broadbent is an amazing actor and was amazing in the film. And he wrote me the loveliest email, wishing me luck with the show. And then I just had to, again, it's one of those situations where you bring all your information with you and with your backpack, and then you try and as much as possible to make it your own. I only watched the film once because I didn't want it to be a direct imitation of what he did. Obviously, there are certain things you had to do, with the big red costume and the mustache, and but I wanted to look different than him. I wanted to play the role differently. He's more overtly homosexual in the show, and and he's parental and loving and sexy and dirty and all those things. And again, something I'd never done before and I'd never tried before, and it scared me. And I thought, let me go and give that a shot. Let me give that kind of a character a shot. And it was a challenge because I don't see myself that way at all. I see myself as a nice Jewish boy from the Bronx and Queens, and so getting into that and trying to embody that was the way he walked and sounded, and the depth of his was a challenge at first for me. But I love playing that role, and I love, I talk about all the shows, but it's always the friendships that you hold on to, and I love that cast. It's super talented and lovely people, and you love going to work every single night. You know what? I've been damn lucky. I really have been. And I don't take it for granted 1 second.
Did you ever think you would be singing Beyonce, Sia, CeeLo? What was going through your mind?
Don't do it. That was going through my mind. Like, oh, they picked the wrong person. That's what I was thinking. I just, that was the role. And so I thought, well, here we go. I'm going to be singing Chandelier. This is weird. But you know, I'm from going from rich man to chandelier is quite a leap.
That's a big
Uh, and you know, it was, but it's great fun because you know, no matter what, it's a musical theater piece, so you have to make sense of the lyric, then you have to tell a story, and you have to progress the plot. So those are all my responsibilities with that song,
Yeah.
and you know, make it entertaining. So it's a lot of hard work and figuring all that stuff out. You know, I'm left with a fantastic director and choreographer and actors to work opposite, and an amazing musical director, Justin Levine, and it just works. That show works. My dad, who's 84 years old, came to see the show, and you know, knows none of those songs. He sat there and he said afterwards, "I don't know why it works, but it works. It's really good." And he's right. He's right. You know, and it's one of those shows that if you're, you know, 6 years old or you're 84 years old, you fall in love and you love it and you go on that ride. That it's a joy ride from the very beginning. It's a blast. It really is.
I just want to thank you for doing this.
Of course. I you know what? You've been asking for so long, and I'm so sorry it's taken me so long.
I've been waiting 11 years.
11 years.
11 years.
Was it worth it?
Yeah. Everything I saw you in outfit lip-sync in '08, I was on the Danny Burstein train.
The Danny Burstein train. Yeah.
And I've been waiting 11 years to do this. And I just want to thank you again.
Yeah, thanks.
Of course. Thank you. I'm. It's, you know what? It's an honor to be here with you both. I also happen to have a blast. My friend has yet to ring the bell, but he's going to ring the bell any second. So, but so we, you know, if we have another second or two, I just wanted to say that you know, a lot of people in the theater know who you are, Jesse, and think you're pretty special.
Yeah, he's met quite a few over the years.
But wonderful, because you're so damn knowledgeable about theater, and it makes such a huge difference when you're talking to people who on the other side know what they're talking about and are passionate about the theater. So it was great for me to be here, just as I'm sure, you know, like you. So it was. I feel lucky as well.
Thanks for the kind words.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it was great to meet you too, Chris. Really.
Yeah, same here. I know. Seeing the visual, right? See the
yeah.
face of
Okay.
text.
Ever since Chris got here 6 years ago, I've been talking about you.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm flattered as hell. Really. I'm going to tune in just to see what shirt that Chris wears next. All right, guys.
All right.
Sending all my love.
All right. All right, Danny.
And Jesse, please send my love to your folks, okay?
All right, I will.
Absolutely.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, brother. Take care.
Take care, Danny.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.